Interview with the Vampire, Season 2, Episode 1. What can the damned really say to the damned? We are back in our world. Thank you, Anne Rice. And oh my gosh, this episode reintroduces us to the fallout that was the relationship of Louis. It, of course, also introduces Delaney Haynes, who takes over the role of Claudia. If you didn't know, the actress was offered a role in Avatar, the latest one from James Cameron, and she took that role instead. But I had no problem with the replacement they brought in. I think the actress did a fantastic job. Of course, the show continues to take place between past and present. We have the journey of Louis and Claudia from America as Louis' dumb, non-guideline, non-parental, boundary having self continues to sort of try to make up for all of his faults as a father with Claudia by continuing this international border crossing journey because, like Claudia, really wants to find other vampires. And while escaping Lestat's clutches was, in a sense, escaping hell, Claudia continues to look for salvation in the form of a coven, in the form of other vampires. And Louis continues to tell her story in the present day. He continues to tell their stories, many, as we will see in this upcoming season, is a little funny. And we have Daniel Malloy in his great petty investigative skills bringing that fruit to bear. I remember how happy I was when the premiere came on and I did not have to wait more than like 10 minutes to see Sam Reed's portrayal of Lestat. I hope the show continues to give us that blend in terms of storytelling, but also have it come through in seeing not just Jacob Anderson, but Lestat. Um, sorry, Sam Reed. I swear they both just play their roles masterfully. But the insidiousness of what Louis seeing Lestat means, while for me it's joy, for him it's trauma. It's this idea that you've killed the love of your life, you've murdered him. And we see this visage of Lestat come to, in a sense, forewarn Louis of future retribution at his hands. Of course, this is Louis' interpretation of Lestat. Again, just cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs or Louis. But this Lestat is not truly Lestat. It is the idea of Lestat, and we see this come up a couple of times in season 2. And I feel bad for Claudia because can you imagine dealing with like your dad and he keeps like imagining your other dad and you just have to pretend like he's not crazy? And Claudia is legitimately sick of Louis in so many ways, from him not allowing her to kill Lestat, from him being terrible as a partner on this trip. Like, Louis doesn't practice his lines when they're about to like he's just terrible at learning new languages. So she has to basically say when they're border crossing, oh, this is my dad, he's dumb. Like, how much more fun would Claudia have had on this hypothetical trip if it was Louis with Lestat? Lestat, they would be having costume changes, like they would be like learning their robes down. Like, Louis is just a terrible like on the road trip partner for Claudia. And again, she's very angry with him. He's out here imagining the man he said he was fine with killing, and then all of a sudden he's putting hands on her and saying, "Oh no, we can't kill the love of my life." So, fine, whatever, we're still going on this trip, but you've brought the burden of your guilt and your love along with us. So, yeah, she's a little bit peeved. So, this journey, though, again, like I said, if season one and them being trapped with Lestat was hell, you see Claudia hoping it will lead to salvation. And Louis is just along for the ride. But in Europe, they meet an American reporter who seems to have fallen in love with a Romanian woman, and they're just all like, this is wartime. Folks are living in like a literal house all together, and not necessarily because of the war, but because of the fear of monsters in the woods. Um, I'm sure there's an allegory there, but share it in the comments because I don't want to imperfectly bring up whatever's rattling around in my head. So, Claudia meets some of the kids because Claudia is a kid. Go play. Go play with other kids while the adults drink and are messy. And these kids, of course, let Claudia know, hey, go through those woods. That's where you need to be. Obviously, even in wartime, kids can be cruel. But Claudia is, in fact, on a mission to find people like her. And she continues her mission. And finally, after years of going through war-torn Europe, she finds her first other vampire. Now, as Louis shortly says, this thing looks more like catfish than it does an actual vampire. And we surely enough find out why that is. The woman who had made him, who turned him, who herself looks like an ancient vampire. Great performance by the actress. It's wartime. Humans are not as nutritious. The dead is everywhere. Things are just toxic, and that toxicness carries into humans. And when you feed off humans with all of this toxicity around them, you're not gonna have the best, almost like a transfusion. You're not gonna eat well. It's not gonna taste as good. But outside of this discovery of this catfish vampire, a couple of other things happen. Three, I would say, that give this episode its weight as a season 2 premiere, which is the townspeople immediately turning on this woman who, for all intents and purposes, seems jovial, helpful, but now she's been bitten by a vampire, so they must kill her. And it's so barbaric because it's like, you can't blame them. You can't take precautions. Like, you lift the wound from her neck and you immediately see she's been bitten. This is not a bear trap wound on the neck, my guy. And, him pleading for Louis to help, knowing Louis is essentially just another monster, it adds this layer. And Claudia, I love, continues to have zero time for any of it. She's just like, I'm out, Louis, you coming or not? Because I'm not waiting and I'm not staying. And I love that for Claudia. Another thing that happens is Claudia meets her first ancient vampire, or just her first other vampire outside of the four assholes that she's only known her entire life, like she said. And you see that salvation. You see her face light up like, oh my God, there are other people like me. I'm not alone. These are not, these assholes that brought me here into this world are not the only ones. And I truly wish that Lestat had just been a lot more honest about the world of vampires, because there's a lot more of you guys out there for you to be acting like there was 10 of you guys, Lestat. And I guess because he was on the run from the coven, but trauma. I just never understood. Like, because Louis is stupid. Louis doesn't need to know what's happening outside the quarter. But you have a very curious pupil in Claudia. And you just choose to be like, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. But the killing of this vampire's child um, was interesting to witness. Great performance by the actress, by the way, because Claudia, in defending Louis, takes out the creature's eyes. And she just loses it. Like, you took his eyes. How can he hunt? Right? And you're like, damn. And she immediately kills him, which again, that it felt like a sort of salvation. Like, she gave him peace, because yeah, some would say just let it live, but how can it survive? How can it live? How can it hunt? You kind of killed it. But her decision to just immediately cut the cord, I think, was masterful storytelling, especially coming from season one, where that was often the problem with Louis and Lestat. They were unable to constantly just do the hard things. Don't blame them, but at the same time, that has consequences. But when she throws herself into the fire, I was just side eyeing it, because I was like, what is up with all of you vampire elders where like you're just done with life and you're just like, I'm just gonna jump into the fire. Like, relax, use your words. But I get it. If you've been on this earth for centuries and so much has changed and things are different and you're alone and you can't create companionship, yeah, I might jump into the fire as well. So, you know what? Understandable. So, this is another pivotal moment in episode one. The third brilliant moment of acting for me in episode one, of course, is this speech Louis is given to Claudia. He's just like, no, it's just me and you. It's me and you against the world. It doesn't matter what comes. Like, oh, I was just so moved by it. Until, of course, when I realized that Lestat was also in the room with them. Because here I am thinking you're hyping Claudia up. You're like, teamwork, 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 and your dead husband is there. Like, I am so fed up with your pick me ways, Louis. So this speech, in my opinion, and correct me if you think I'm wrong, cannot be for Claudia. And I feel like this is what this side eye is about. Like, here he goes again. I could see he's losing his eyes are twitchy, and that's his eyes twitch when he sees Lestat. Like, that's what I'm imagining is going through Claudia's mind right now, as she is just infinitely fed up with Louis. But it was a great speech. But it just lost all the power for me, and most likely for Claudia. Because she can read his mind. I'm sure she can tell he's thinking of Lestat, right? Like, just again, the constant heartbreak for Claudia. Justice for Claudia, man. And of course, in present day, we have Armand out here instantly recognizing Daniel for who he is. He likes to break people down. He likes to get information. It's now that's what makes him a great reporter, investigator. It's his job, and it's also his drug. And from all the knowledge that Armand has of Daniel, he knows this can end really, really badly. And as much as he's tried to put guardrails around whatever this situation Louis has manufactured, he's unable to. Like, it's just, he's like, let's send him back, blah, blah, blah. And Louis manipulative behind, but yet acting like he's very passive about it all, just remains like, mm, get me those letters, though, by the way, right? So it brings up the tension of, where is this relationship that you can see is clearly made out of like toothpicks? How will it survive Daniel's constant investigations? Louis being willing to be investigated because he himself realizes there are parts of his memory, his life, that are missing. And Armand just being like, I want all of this to stop. And no one is listening to him. No one is listening to this ancient vampire, and it's such an interesting dynamic that is playing out in this house between the three of them. But like every toxic couple, they remain united in the face of their quote unquote relationship to each other, a false relationship, but the show must go on. And while the show goes on in the present, we see where it ends in the past. And in the past, it ends with them arriving in Paris. And that's all we have for season 2, episode 1. What can the damned really say to the damned? And you know what? Not a damn thing. This was a great season 2. I will be back to go through episode 2. If you have any thoughts and comments, anything you would like to add about the season premiere, what were your favorite parts, favorite scenes? What did you think of the addition of a new character, of a new actress playing Claudia? Like, this was a very quirky episode, I'm not gonna lie. The whole Romania stop really threw me for a loop, but everything was executed well between visuals and character analysis, and just, oh Lord, Louise crazy ass is still at it. Like, I was here for it. And even though I realized this was a different actress playing Claudia, it absolutely did not. Like, they both have the character of Claudia down, and I love that for them. But yeah, that's all I've got. Thank you guys for listening, and see ya.